Security program on spreadsheets, new regulations piling up, and audit dread? It's time for Vanta. Vanta automates security and compliance, brings evidence into one place, and cuts audit prep by 82%. Less manual work, clearer visibility, faster deals, zero chaos. Call it compliance or call it compliance. Get it? Join the 15,000 companies using Vanta to prove trust. Go to vanta.com/calm.
That's the sound of a big deal. At Wayfair, that sound happens a lot. Dream sofa for half the price? Big deal. New dining table you've been eyeing for months? Big deal. Finally picking up those last few pieces and finishing that bedroom? Now that's a really big deal. Whatever your home needs, Wayfair has the selection, the savings, and over millions of 5-star reviews to back it up. Shop Wayfair.com today before someone else snags your big deal.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey friends, welcome to Moments That Matter. I'm your host, Callie Wiley, and I'm so glad you're here. This is the space where we'll talk about real life, the messy, the beautiful, the in-between moments that actually shape us. We'll dive into business, balance, building connections that feel real, growing brands with heart, meeting amazing people, and figuring out how to be our most authentic selves. No filters, no fluff, just honest conversations to help you show up fully in your life and step into the version of you that is already there. So get comfy, grab your coffee, and let's talk about the moments that actually matter. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Moments That Matter podcast. I am really excited to chat about today's topic. I had someone reach out to me and specifically ask if I would talk about this topic, and I relate to it so heavily, and so it felt so right to do an episode on this. But we're talking all about imposter syndrome today. You've made it to the top. I know that anyone that's listening to this is got some level of either high achieving or desire to be a high achiever, or you wouldn't be here. People that aren't high achievers don't listen to podcasts, period. So I promise that a lot of you will find relation to this. And I want to dive right in and kind of chat through some of this. So you've worked your way up, you check all the boxes, you got the title, you got the seat, you have the accolades, but somewhere between the promotion and the performance review, you start to ask yourself, do I really belong here? And you start to ask, how did I get this seat? Do I deserve this seat? It's that version of imposter syndrome that doesn't just show up on day one, but it shows up after you succeed and you've done the hard work, right? You've proven your value. You earned the seat at the table, but you just still feel like you're faking it. You guys, this is something I struggle with all of the time, right? I have been doing leadership for a freakishly long time. I feel very grateful that I've been put at seats to learn and understand leadership from a very young age and hold positions of leadership. I mean, like in 4-H, I was like the president of our 4-H club when I was like 13. And so my leadership journey started very, very, very young. And I still sometimes don't feel qualified to teach leadership, which is insane. Like it's been 2 decades I've been in leadership. And so learning and saying, hey, I don't know that I earned this seat is absolutely bananas to me, but it's real, and it's real from high achievers. It's real from people that do show up. And sometimes we see this in ways of you underestimating yourself, your boss who underestimates you, your peers who are giving you that side eye for your success, right? People that aren't happy about where you're sitting. Maybe it's people in the industry. It's the voice in your own head that won't let you rest. We see this in overachievers. Like we see this, like I'm going to outwork my imposter syndrome. I've done all of this, you guys. And so I want to dive through some of these different topics, chat about some of it, and kind of go from there, because this is something that's very real, very, very real. And so let's dive in first with the pressure of making it and why success doesn't always bring confidence. If you are someone that has always had expectations put on you, I got very good grades in school, and there was always this pressure to be successful. And then I got to high school and my dad got sick and I stopped performing at the same rate. And the pressure of just making it was insane to me. Insane. This pressure to go through high school, become valedictorian, go to a 4-year school, and then get the career, right? Get the big career. And I realized that this pressure of making it for me, it did not come from my parents. Let me just be very clear with this. My parents, I literally could join the circus and my parents would have been proud of me. I could have sold peanuts at a baseball game and they would have been #1 fan, biggest cheerleaders. The first podcast that I had, my mom would listen to it on like every device that they owned and was just, I mean, absolutely my biggest cheerleader. And so I didn't have pressure like that from my parents, which is rare. A lot of people get that from their parents. But the world around me had just very high expectations. I was in 4-H, I was in Youth Action Council, I was doing a lot of things. And so there was this pressure from the community around me to be hyper successful. And it started from that I realized like, oh my gosh, I dropped out of college and I was very ashamed of it. College was not for me. College was not for me. Getting the 4-year degree was not for me. I hated some of my classes. I just wanted to do the work. I wanted to dive in. I wanted to take the internships and I dropped out. And there was this like idea of like, oh my gosh, am I failing? And so I believe that the pressure of making it starts really young. It starts from that pressure of our parents, the community teachers, like community expectations of like, what you're supposed to be doing, quote unquote. And it just starts to resonate into our work life. It starts to resonate into our overall success. It starts to say, hey, are you enough? Are you making it? Are you doing enough? And we start to compare ourselves. And we start to compare ourselves to what other people are doing and what their journey is. And you are unique to you. So stop comparing yourself to what someone else is doing. Because when you show up in the world, you're bringing a unique superpower. So let's go with something. I'm going to use something that's not my specific industry, but an industry I've been in. Let's go with wedding planning, wedding and event planning. You guys, there are 8 bajillion wedding planners in the Northern Nevada area. We are high proximity to Tahoe. You guys, it's what drove me here in the first place, is that was the industry I was in. And why would I not live near Tahoe if I was going to be in the wedding industry? But here's the cool thing. There can be 500 wedding planners, but what you bring to the table is unique. What you bring to the table is your own style. What you bring to the table is your own personality, and people are going to connect with you for you. So this idea of comparison and making it is insane to me, because you can have a lot of people doing the same thing, but you have to lean into what makes you you and what makes you unique and what makes you unique for your clients or the style of wedding you do, because every single one of them is going to do something different. So lean into that uniqueness. But I understand, right? There's this pressure of how many social media followers do I have? How many listens do I get? How many people are engaging with me? How many people are doing XYZ? You guys, some of the best people in the wedding planning industry that I know aren't the people with the most follows. Some of the most successful companies have some of the smallest social media followings. So don't get wrapped up in this pressure of making it and what that looks like. Define that for yourself. Define success for yourself. And when you get to that peak pinnacle of success, right? Let's talk business ownership, executive leadership roles. You spend your whole life working towards this thing, and then you realize that you make it to that thing. You make it to the finish line. You get the role, you get the title, you get the thing, and you don't feel confident. You don't feel confident in what you're doing. You feel like you are not enough. You feel like you're not smart enough. You feel like you've not earned that seat. And this can come from internal. It can come from a boss. It can come from a peer. It can come from someone that maybe applied for the same role that you're in or owns the same style of company that you're in. It can come from people that work on your team, right? Just people starting to feel like you're not enough. And this comes from a lot of different angles, right? And I don't have 5 hours to talk about this, and I could, but people can treat people subtly like you're not enough for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's not intentional. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Don't worry about what other people are judging you for. Don't worry about how people think of you. It is not your responsibility to manage someone else's thoughts, their thoughts of you. It's not your responsibility to manage how someone thinks about you. All right. You have to let that go. You have to show up for you and your superpowers. But sometimes it comes from, it's something that you're reading into too much. Sometimes it comes from jealousy. Sometimes it comes from competition. And that's all okay, you guys. But what we have to do is we have to get ourselves past feeling like we're not enough because of how other people are making you feel. Because in you, you have to feel confident first. You have to find that confidence within you. And how sometimes we get to this point that we are completely qualified and we know that we're qualified, but we're still questioning ourselves. That is an internal situation that we have to dig into. And we have to say, hey, I know I'm enough. Hey, I know that I earned this seat at the table. Hey, I know I'm competent. And you guys know I'm going to take some of this back to affirmations, because so much of how we're talking to ourselves, which is what imposter syndrome is what we're going to start believing. So if you start telling yourself, hey, my peer is judging me for XYZ, and I don't know that I'm competent enough to do this. I don't know that I'm competent. I don't know that I'm smart enough. I don't know that I earned this seat at this table. You will start to believe that, which is going to create deeper imposter syndrome. And when we get down into these deep, deep rabbit holes, it starts to take a huge effect on our mental load, because what we do is we start to constantly prove ourselves. And let me tell you about the rabbit hole that I've been down with this, because when I start questioning myself, I overwork, because I feel like if I can overwork and I can show up for 16 hours a day, that is what's going to prove to the people around me that I'm capable. And that is not the case. Hours do not equal worth. Hours don't equal worth. Showing up for 90 hours a week means absolutely nothing if you are burnt to a crisp. You guys, it's not going to prove that you're capable. And actually, I would argue that it starts to do the opposite, because if you're taking 90 hours a week to achieve something, y'all need to get more efficient. You need to get more sound in your strategy, because efficiency is not 90 hours a week. And if you can get hyper efficient and you can do 40 hours a week and 30 hours a week and still prioritize your family, friends, and community, then that is where your life is going to start to unpack. And so I have gone down the rabbit hole of I'm going to clock in by 6 a.m. I'm be at my desk. I'm showing myself. I'm proving myself. I'm messaging. Y'all, you're putting pressure on other people around you too. You're putting pressure on people around you. But when you are trying to prove yourself in that way, it's going to lead to burnout. It's going to lead to burnout when you are trying to prove to yourself by overworking that is your success. You will burn yourself out. And that mental load is going to get draining, because we weren't designed to work 16-hour days. We weren't designed to prove ourselves constantly, right? You have to be confident in yourself to say, these are my hours. This is how I'm working. This is what I'm doing. And I've done this my entire life. Every role I've had when I've started to have imposter syndrome, I've overworked. I've started to show up an hour and a half earlier. I've stayed an hour and a half later. I've overengaged in things. I've overexplained myself. I've overengaged in text messages, phone calls, voicemails. I start to prove myself. I really sit in this space of proving myself. And I have done this as long as I can remember. I've done this from every job I've ever had, because it's coming from this place of proving myself. And when I stepped into this company, I told myself I had no one to prove myself to, that I was going to show up as who I am. I'm going to show up proud for who I am. And the ideal clients that I want will resonate with me and they will come to me, and I don't have to prove myself anymore. I don't have to be at my desk at 6:15. I don't have to respond to emails from bed. I don't have to respond to emails at 4 a.m. on a Saturday, because I don't need to prove myself to anyone else anymore. I'm going to show up as I am, and the right people will connect. And if I'm responding to your email at 9:30, that's okay, because I prioritize my health first, and I do my workout. I go for my walk. I eat my breakfast. I get ready. I have my creative time in the evenings. I read, I spend time with my family, and I don't have to prove myself anymore. And that is incredible, because imposter syndrome follows you home, and it starts to affect your relationships. It starts to affect your self-worth, and it starts to affect your joy. Because when we rob ourselves of feeling like we're worthy enough, we start to doubt ourselves. And you guys, I've done this for years. I've sat in spaces where I don't feel confident about myself, my body, my appearance. I start to compare myself to everyone around me, and I start to let that affect absolutely everything. My mood, how I feel like I can show up, my anxiety. You guys, the amount of anxiety that I've navigated because of imposter syndrome and feeling like I'm not enough is tenfold, because I have spun myself into a different dimension, feeling like I'm not enough. Feeling like who I am as me isn't worthy enough. I start to question the roles that I've held. I start to question the authority that I have. I start to question the relationships that I'm in, the friends, the circle. Everything starts to spiral. So it starts to affect everything. You guys, I'm a perfectionist, and I spent years trying to chase perfection over progress. And as soon as I shifted to progress over perfection, little baby steps, even if they're failing forward, even if they're not perfect, even if they're imperfect, putting things out in the world. You guys, when I launched this podcast, I really wanted it to be live video and I wanted to have guests, and there was a lot more that I wanted to do with it. And I decided to launch this raw. I decided to just go for it and do it just audio for now, because I kept pushing things off for perfection, because I kept saying, well, if I just release audio of a podcast, will it be good enough? Will it be as good as some of the other podcasts that I listen to? Will it be as good as the ones that I see on YouTube? Probably not. But is my message still the same? Is who I am still the same? And is what I'm doing still the same? It is. It's just a slightly different background. And I have big dreams this month to redo my office so that we can go live video. And I've already got a lineup of people to start interviewing again. But that's the difference, is being able to say, hey, I'm going to go for this because I am worthy of this and I know what I'm doing, versus waiting and questioning if we will be good enough unless we do it XYZ, which is comparison, right? We're spending so much time comparing ourselves to other people. So stop letting imposter syndrome follow you home, affect your relationships, change your self-worth, and destroy your joy. Destroy your joy. Because when we stop showing up in our personal life, you guys, this is a foundation of how I drove to start this podcast in the first place. And when we start overworking, and we are pouring ourselves into our whole work existence and tying our hustle to our success and our worth and our value, you miss out on everything else in life. You guys, the number of things that I've missed out on that I think about and reflect on regularly, that I missed out on because I said I can't, I'm working with my parents, and now they're gone. And I don't get that time back because time's not replaceable. And I chose overworking to try to prove myself instead of realigning things, stop feeling like I got to prove myself to anyone. And now I get to show up for the things that matter. I get to show up for the people in my life that matter. I get to say yes to the coffee dates. I get to take my nephews I got to take one of my nephews to dojo the other day. I get to show up to football games. I get to be present in the lives of the people that matter. We're hosting in our house more than ever right now because I have the energy. I'm not spending all my energy trying to prove myself. I'll prove myself by cooking you dinner, because that's my love language, is cooking for people. And I didn't have that energy for 10 years. I didn't have the energy to show up for my greatest joy because I was so busy thinking that if I didn't respond to an email within 15 minutes, someone might not think I'm capable. So I started saying no to anything that brought me joy. And you guys, it led to deep anxiety and serious depression. And I needed to heal from that. And you have to start trusting yourself. You have to start feeling confident and let people think what they want to think. But you have to show up for you. You have to show up for you. And the burnout that's going to come from overworking to silence that inner critic is going to be what takes you out. It's going to be what takes you out. So let's focus on our burnout. Let's focus on not overthinking. Let's let go of our inner critics. And just because you feel like you're an imposter doesn't mean you are one. Y'all, let me say that again for the people in the back. Just because you feel like an imposter does not mean you are one. If you are showing up in a space and you earned a seat at that table, you need to remind yourself of that every single day. You need to tell yourself that you earned the seat at this table. And if you built your own table, more kudos to you. Because not only did you earn the seat at that table because you built that table, and now you're providing other people's seats. So if you're a small business owner, you are putting things out in the world, you are an executive on a team, you are just starting out as leadership, think about the table that you're building. Give yourself credit for that. Give yourself credit for that. Because who you are is amazing. And you are worthy of everything that you have. You have to start telling yourself that, though. I can only tell you so much. You have to put in the self-work to realize that who you are is incredible enough and you earn this seat. I can't just tell you that. You have to start telling yourself that, and that's where the real work will start to unfold. I want you guys to reflect on some of these key takeaways because this is really, really important to me, and I think that this is something that can start to change your life. You guys, we're in December. We are at the end of the year. This is when people start to take the gas pedal off, which is incredible. And you know that I'm going to support that. But what I want you to do this holiday season is not take the gas pedal off yourself. You can't wait till January to say, I'll start believing in myself in January. Take the time now to start showing up authentically as you and be proud of who you are. You don't need to prove your worth once you've earned that seat, But that imposter syndrome is going to try to convince you otherwise. And your full-time job right now is to battle that and remind yourself how incredible you are and remind yourself the uniqueness that you bring and the journey that you've been on that set you up for this success, because everyone has a different story of how they got here. And every single thing that you've learned along the way is what's shaped you. So being treated like you don't belong can shape how you see yourself, even if it's not the truth. So you have to start reminding yourself of how you got to where you are. How did you get here? How did you get to this seat? What are all the things that qualify you to be in this seat? What are all the life lessons? What are the internships you took? What are the volunteer jobs you took? Y'all, I worked retail for a long time. The things that I learned working in retail, absolutely incredible. Jobs that people might not think matter, that I learned a lot from. Burnout's the byproduct of trying too hard. Burnout is going to be your byproduct of trying too hard to earn what you've already achieved. Let me say that again. Burnout is often the byproduct of trying too hard to earn what you've already achieved. Be so freaking proud of what you've done, because all you're going to do is spin yourself into burnout, and you already achieved the thing. You already achieved the thing. And remember that you're not alone, you guys. When you're navigating this stuff, you are not alone in the fact that you're questioning yourself. Number one thing I do is I spin myself into I'm not worthy of this seat. I'm not worthy of what I'm doing. Why do I feel like a fraud in this? I launched this business. Why do I feel like a fraud? I've got years of experience in what I teach today. Years. I've been podcasting for, we're pushing a decade now, minus the few years that I took a break, but I've been in the podcasting space for a long time. I've been in the coaching space for a long time. I've been working with people for a long time. And oftentimes I feel like, why am I the only one that feels like I'm questioning myself? But when I start to talk to other really high achieving people, and I start to work with clients, and I start to get into networking groups and start chatting with people, almost every single person I talk to is questioning what they're doing. They're questioning themselves. They're questioning if they're worthy enough for this. And you guys, it's not just you. You're not alone in this. But together, we can change how we're thinking. And together, we can rise. And together, we can take on the world a little differently. So remember that real belonging doesn't require overworking. Real belonging doesn't require overcompensation. Real belonging doesn't require you to do more. It requires you to believe in yourself. I hope that this resonates with you. I hope that you take takeaways from this. I hope that you listen to this and you feel less alone. I hope that you feel more confident. I hope that this excites you to feel like you can take on something new, to feel like what you're doing is enough, especially when we're in the holiday season. You guys, next week I'm talking about presence over pressure and honoring what matters, because you guys, holidays are important to me. The holiday season is important to me, that we're showing up for our people. And if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to overwork through the holidays and you're going to miss the things that matter the most. You're going to miss the things that matter the most if we don't start to break this down. When we get to next week's episode chatting about presence over pressure, you're going to overwork through the holidays. And I don't want to see that. And we're already almost done with the holiday season, y'all. So if you're already in this space that you're overworking it, I want you to take back what you're doing. And I want to give that time back to you to stop overworking, take time with your family, get hyper present with your friends, get hyper present in your community, and stop feeling like a fraud. Hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you next week.